The evening air in the quiet suburban neighborhood of Crestwood was thick with tension. The streetlights flickered intermittently, casting long shadows across the pavement as 17-year-old Jasmine Carter walked home from her part-time job at the local grocery store. Her backpack, heavy with textbooks, dug into her shoulders, but she didn't mind. She was used to the weight, both literal and figurative. Jasmine was no stranger to the way people looked at her in Crestwood. The neighborhood was predominantly white, and despite living there for years, she still got sideways glances from neighbors who pretended not to see her when she waved. But tonight, she had bigger things on her mind: her upcoming college applications, her little brother's birthday tomorrow, and the fact that her shift had run late, leaving her walking home alone in the dark. She turned the corner onto Maple Street, humming softly to herself, when the blinding flash of red and blue lights filled her vision. A police cruiser rolled up beside her, slowing to a stop. Her heart skipped a beat. "Evening, miss," the officer drawled, stepping out of the car. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a buzz cut and a cold stare. His nameplate read Officer Danvers. Jasmine forced a polite smile. "Good evening, officer. Is everything all right?" Danvers didn't return the smile. Instead, his eyes narrowed as he looked her up and down. "You live around here?" "Yes, sir. Just a few blocks down." She pointed in the direction of her house, hoping he'd let her go. But Danvers didn't move. "Mind if I see some ID?" Jasmine frowned. "Did I do something wrong?" "Just routine," he said, though his tone suggested otherwise. Reluctantly, she reached into her pocket for her wallet. As she handed over her school ID, Danvers studied it a little too long before glancing back at her. "You fit the description of someone we've been looking for." Jasmine's stomach dropped. "What description?" "Burglary suspect. Young black female, medium build, dark clothing." He gestured vaguely at her jeans and hoodie. "Sound familiar?" Jasmine clenched her fists. "That could describe half the girls at my school. I was at work all night. You can call my manager." Danvers smirked. "I think I'll do my own investigation." He stepped closer, his voice dropping. "Empty your pockets." Jasmine's pulse pounded in her ears. She knew this game. She'd heard the stories from her friends, her cousins, but knowing it could happen to her didn't make it any less terrifying. "I don't consent to a search," she said firmly. Danvers' expression darkened. "That's not how this works. Turn around." Before she could react, his hand was on her shoulder, spinning her roughly. Jasmine yelped as he shoved her against the cruiser, her cheek pressing into the cold metal. "Stop resisting," he barked, though she wasn't moving. Tears stung her eyes as he yanked her arms behind her back. The click of handcuffs echoed in her ears. Then a deep, thunderous voice cut through the night. "Get your hands off my daughter." Jasmine's breath caught. She knew that voice. Standing at the edge of the sidewalk, arms crossed and eyes blazing, was her father, Marcus Carter. And he did not look happy. Danvers hesitated, his grip loosening slightly. "Sir, this is police business. Step back." Marcus didn't budge. He was a towering figure, ex-military, with a presence that commanded respect. "You're arresting her for what, exactly?" "Suspect in a burglary," Danvers snapped, though his confidence wavered. Marcus's jaw tightened. "You got evidence? Witnesses? Or are you just harassing a kid for walking while black?" Danvers' face reddened. "I don't have to explain myself to you." Marcus pulled out his phone. "No, but you'll explain it to my lawyer and the press." He started recording. "Go ahead, officer. Tell the world why you're handcuffing an honor student who was just walking home." For the first time, Danvers looked uncertain. The power dynamic had shifted. Jasmine held her breath. This wasn't over. Not even close. The streetlights buzzed overhead, casting an eerie glow over the tense standoff. Officer Danvers' grip on Jasmine's arm loosened just enough for her to twist slightly, her wide eyes locking onto her father's. Marcus Carter didn't blink. His gaze was fixed on Danvers, cold and unyielding, the way it had been back in his military days when he was staring down an enemy. Danvers cleared his throat, trying to regain control of the situation. "Sir, I suggest you back off before you interfere with an active investigation." Marcus didn't move. Instead, he took a slow step forward, his voice dangerously calm. "You're not investigating anything. You're harassing my child. Now, take those cuffs off her before this gets ugly." Jasmine's pulse pounded in her ears. She had seen her father angry before early, but when it happened, it was like watching a storm roll in. Quiet, then unstoppable. Danvers' hand twitched near his belt, fingers brushing his holstered weapon. Last warning, step back. Marcus smirked a sharp, humorless thing. Or what? You gonna shoot me in front of my daughter? In front of all these witnesses? He gestured to the neighbors who had begun peeking through their blinds, drawn by the flashing lights. Jasmine hadn't even noticed them before, but now she saw them, faces in windows, phones raised, recording. Danvers hesitated. His eyes darted around, realizing too late that this wasn't going the way he'd planned. Then, from behind Marcus, another voice cut in. Everything all right here? A second cop car rolled up, this one unmarked. The door opened, and out stepped Sergeant Rebecca Cole, a no-nonsense woman with sharp features and a reputation for being fair but firm. Jasmine had never been so relieved to see another officer in her life. Danvers stiffened. Sarge, I heard enough, Cole interrupted, her gaze flickering between him, Marcus, and Jasmine, still cuffed. She sighed. Danvers, uncuff her. Now. Danvers' jaw tightened. She matched a suspect description. Did she? Or did you just see a black kid walking at night and decide to flex? Cole's voice was ice. The silence that followed was deafening. Danvers muttered something under his breath, but finally reached for his keys, unlocking the cuffs. Jasmine rubbed her wrists the second they were free, stepping quickly toward her father. Marcus didn't take his eyes off Danvers. Cole exhaled, pinching the bridge of her nose. Jasmine, you okay? Jasmine nodded, surprised Cole knew her name. Then again, Crestwood wasn't that big. Cole turned to Marcus. Mr. Carter, I apologize for this. It shouldn't have happened. Marcus didn't soften. Damn right it shouldn't have. Cole nodded, then fixed Danvers with a glare. You're done for the night. Go back to the station. We'll talk in the morning. Danvers looked like he wanted to argue, but one glance at Cole's expression shut him down. He turned on his heel, got into his cruiser, and sped off, leaving tire marks on the pavement. The moment he was gone, Jasmine let out a shaky breath. Thank you, Sergeant. Cole gave her a small, tired smile. Don't thank me yet. This isn't over. She glanced at Marcus. You might want to file a complaint. And get a lawyer. Marcus nodded. Already on it. Cole hesitated, then lowered her voice. Danvers has a history. IA's looked into him before, but he's got friends in high places. Marcus's expression darkened. Then we'll go higher. Cole studied him for a long moment before nodding. Good luck. With that, she returned to her car and drove off, leaving Jasmine and Marcus standing alone on the sidewalk. Jasmine finally broke the silence. Dad, I didn't do anything wrong. Marcus pulled her into a tight hug. I know, baby, I know. When he pulled back, his eyes were hard. But this isn't just about tonight. This is about making sure it never happens again. Jasmine swallowed. What are we gonna do? Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone, dialing a number. After a moment he spoke. Hey, it's me. We need to talk. It's time. Jasmine frowned. Who was that? Marcus slipped his phone back into his pocket, his face unreadable. An old friend. One who knows how to handle guys like Danvers. Jasmine wanted to ask more, but the look in her father's eyes told her everything she needed to know. This was just the beginning. The drive home was silent, the weight of what had just happened pressing down on them like a storm cloud. Jasmine stared out the window, watching the familiar streets of Crestwood blur past. Her wrists still ached faintly from the cuffs. Marcus's grip on the steering wheel was tight, his knuckles pale. He hadn't said a word since they got in the car, but Jasmine could practically hear the gears turning in his head. Dad, she finally said, her voice small in the dark interior of the car. Who did you call back there? Marcus exhaled through his nose, his jaw working. Someone who can help. Help how? He glanced at her. Just for a second, before refocusing on the road. You remember me talking about Elijah? Jasmine frowned. The name rang a bell, something from her childhood. A friend of her dad's from the military, maybe? Vaguely. Elijah Graves, Marcus said. We served together. After I got out, he went into law. Now he's one of the best civil rights attorneys in the state. Jasmine's stomach twisted. So we're suing? We're making sure Danvers doesn't do this to anyone else. His voice was steel. The car turned onto their street, and Jasmine spotted their house-a-modest two-story with a neatly kept lawn, the porch light left on for her. Normally, coming home felt safe. Tonight, it just felt like a temporary reprieve. As soon as they stepped inside, the scent of garlic and spices hit them. Her mom was cooking. Jasmine? Marcus? Lena Carter appeared in the kitchen doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Her smile faded the second she saw their faces. What happened? Jasmine opened her mouth, but Marcus spoke first. Danvers stopped her on her way home, tried to arrest her for matching a description. Lena's eyes widened. She crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling Jasmine into a fierce hug. Are you okay? Jasmine nodded against her shoulder, suddenly fighting back tears. She hadn't realized how much she was shaking until now. Lena pulled back, cupping her daughter's face. Did he hurt you? No, Jasmine said. Just scared me. Lena's expression darkened. She turned to Marcus. What are we doing about this? Already, called Elijah. Lena's eyebrows shot up. That's not a small move. It's not a small problem. Jasmine looked between them. Who's Elijah? Lena sighed, running a hand through her braids. Your dad's old friend. Brilliant lawyer. Also, she hesitated. Let's just say he doesn't play nice with cops who step out of line. Before Jasmine could ask more, Marcus's phone buzzed. He pulled it out, scanned the screen, and nodded. Elijah's on his way. He'll be here in an hour. Lena crossed her arms. Good. But we're not waiting. She grabbed her own phone. I'm calling the news station. Marcus frowned. We should talk to Elijah first. No, Lena cut in. This isn't just about legal strategy. This is about making sure the whole city knows what happened tonight, before Danvers can spin his version. Jasmine swallowed. Her mom wasn't wrong. But the idea of this blowing up, of her face being on the news. What if this makes it worse? She whispered. Lena and Marcus both turned to her. Worse how? Marcus asked. Jasmine shrugged helplessly. What if they retaliate? What if? A knock at the door cut her off. All 3 of them froze. It hadn't been an hour. Elijah couldn't be here yet. Marcus moved first, stepping in front of Jasmine and Lena as he approached the door. He peered through the peephole and stiffened. Who is it? Lena whispered. Marcus didn't answer. He just unlocked the door and pulled it open. Standing on their porch was Officer Danvers. Jasmine's breath caught. He wasn't in uniform anymore, just a plain black jacket, his hands shoved in his pockets. His expression was unreadable. What the hell are you doing here? Marcus growled. Danvers didn't flinch. We need to talk. Like hell we do. Marcus started to shut the door. Danvers shoved his foot in the way. You really want to do this the hard way? His voice was low, dangerous. I came here to give you a chance to walk away. Marcus laughed a sharp, humorless sound. You handcuff my kid for no reason, then show up at my house threatening me? Danvers' eyes flicked past him, landing on Jasmine. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm offering you a choice. He pulled something from his pocket, a business card. Take this. Drop any complaints. And this ends here. Marcus didn't move. Or, Danvers smiled. It wasn't friendly. Or you find out how deep this rabbit hole goes. The silence stretched. Then, from behind Danvers, a new voice cut in. Officer Danvers. Fancy seeing you here. Danvers spun around. Standing at the foot of the porch steps was a tall, broad-shouldered man in a tailored suit. His dark skin gleamed under the porch light. His sharp eyes locked on Danvers with the intensity of a predator. Elijah Graves had arrived, and he did not look pleased. The air on the porch crackled with tension. Danvers took an involuntary step back as Elijah Graves ascended the steps, his polished dress shoes clicking against the wood. The attorney's expression was calm, but his eyes burned with a quiet fury that made even Marcus straighten slightly. Danvers recovered quickly, his lip curling. This is a private conversation. Elijah smiled, razor-thin thing. Funny, because from where I was standing, it sounded like an off-duty officer intimidating a family on their own property. He tilted his head, which, incidentally, is a felony in this state. Danvers' jaw tightened. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about, Elijah said smoothly. He reached into his inner jacket pocket and pulled out a small silver voice recorder. And so will a judge, if necessary. Danvers' eyes locked onto the device. For the first time, a flicker of unease crossed his face. Marcus stepped forward, his voice low. "You've got 5 seconds to get off my property before I throw you off." Danvers glanced between them, weighing his options. Then with a sneer he shoved the business card into Marcus's chest. "Your funeral." He pushed past Elijah and stalked back to his car, peeling away with a screech of tires. The moment he was gone, Lena let out a shaky breath. "Jesus Christ." Elijah turned to them, his expression softening. "You all okay?" Marcus nodded stiffly. "Better now." "Thanks for coming." Elijah clapped him on the shoulder. "Always, brother." His gaze shifted to Jasmine, and his voice gentled further. "Hey, kiddo! You holding up?" Jasmine managed a nod, though her hands were still trembling. Lena ushered them all inside. "Let's talk where it's not freezing." The kitchen smelled like simmering jambalaya, but no one was hungry anymore. They gathered around the table, Elijah taking the seat at the head like it was a war council, which, Jasmine realized, it kind of was. Elijah steepled his fingers. "First things first, Jasmine. I need you to walk me through exactly what happened tonight. Every detail." Jasmine took a deep breath and recounted the encounter. The stop, the cuffs, the way Danvers had looked at her like she was already guilty. Elijah listened intently, nodding occasionally. When she finished, he leaned back. "Okay, here's the good news. We have witnesses. Neighbors were recording. Sergeant Cole intervened. That's leverage." "And the bad news?" Marcus asked. Elijah sighed. "Danvers isn't acting alone. That little stunt he just pulled, showing up here, that's not standard procedure. Someone put him up to it." Lena frowned. "Who?" "My guess? His union rep? Or worse, someone higher up in the department trying to scare you into silence." Elijah tapped the table. "Which means we hit back harder." Marcus's eyes gleamed. "How?" Elijah pulled out his phone. "First, we file a formal complaint with Internal Affairs. Second, we leak the story to the press before they can spin it. And third," he paused, glancing at Jasmine, "we get proactive?" Jasmine blinked. "Proactive how?" Elijah's smile turned sharp. "We dig. Danvers has a record, I guarantee it. We find every complaint, every dirty secret, and we bury him with it." Marcus nodded slowly. "You think that'll work?" "It'll work," Elijah said. "But," he hesitated, "it'll also put a target on your backs. Danvers and his buddies won't take this lying down." Jasmine's stomach twisted. "So what do we do?" Elijah met her gaze. "We fight smarter. Starting tomorrow, you don't go anywhere alone. You document every interaction with cops. And if they come at you again," he slid a business card across the table his own, "you call me, day or night." Lena exhaled. "This is insane. We shouldn't have to live like this." Elijah's expression darkened. "Number you shouldn't. But until the system changes, we play the hand we're dealt." He stood. "I'll start the paperwork tonight. Marcus, walk me out." Marcus followed him to the porch, shutting the door behind them. Through the window, Jasmine saw them speaking in low, urgent tones. Then Elijah handed Marcus something small, a flash drive, before clapping him on the shoulder and heading to his car. When Marcus came back inside, his face was grim. "What was that about?" Lena asked. Marcus hesitated, then held up the flash drive. "Insurance." Jasmine frowned. "What's on it?" "Everything Elijah's dug up on Danvers so far." Marcus pocketed it. "In case things go south." A chill ran down Jasmine's spine. Lena crossed her arms. "We need to tell Kareem." Jasmine's little brother was at a friend's house for the night, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing. Marcus nodded. "Tomorrow. For now, we lock the doors and get some rest." He glanced at Jasmine. "You okay?" She wasn't, but she nodded anyway. Upstairs, Jasmine collapsed onto her bed, her mind racing. She grabbed her phone and opened Instagram, then froze. A notification popped up. "Unknown user has requested to follow you." The profile had no picture, no posts. Just a bio that read, "You should have taken the deal." Jasmine's blood ran cold. Her phone buzzed again. A DM. "Unknown user. Sleep tight, Jasmine." She shot out of bed, heart pounding, and ran to her parents' room. This wasn't over. It was just getting started. Jasmine's knuckles turned white around her phone as she burst into her parents' bedroom. Marcus was already reaching for the gun safe beside the bed, before he even registered her face, years of military instinct kicking in. Jasmine? Lena sat up, alarm flashing in her eyes. What's wrong? Wordlessly, Jasmine thrust her phone at them. Marcus took it, his jaw tightening as he read the message. Lena gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. When did this happen? Marcus growled. Just now. Jasmine's voice shook. They know where I am. Marcus was already moving, striding to the window to peer through the blinds. The street outside was quiet, bathed in the orange glow of the streetlights. No suspicious cars, no shadows lurking. But that didn't mean they weren't being watched. Lena grabbed her own phone. I'm calling the police. Marcus spun around. Number not after tonight. Then what, Marcus? We can't just... We handle this ourselves. He turned to Jasmine. Block the account. Screenshot everything first. Jasmine nodded, fingers trembling as she saved the evidence. The moment she blocked the account, her phone buzzed again this time. A call from an unknown number. She froze. Marcus snatched the phone and answered, putting it on speaker. Who the hell is this? A distorted voice chuckled on the other end. You should have taken the deal, Carter. Lena's face paled. Marcus's grip on the phone turned lethal. Danvers, he spat. The voice ignored him. Last chance. Walk away, or your little girl won't like what happens next. The line went dead. Silence, then crash. The sound came from downstairs. Glass shattering. Marcus was moving before the echo faded, yanking open the gun safe and pulling out a pistol. Lena? Closet. Now. Lena grabbed Jasmine's arm, dragging her toward the walk-in closet as Marcus crouched by the bedroom door, weapon raised. Jasmine's pulse roared in her ears. Someone was in their house. Another crash this time, followed by heavy footsteps. Police, a voice shouted. We have a warrant. Jasmine's blood turned to ice. Number, no way. Marcus didn't lower his gun. Bullshit. Identify yourselves. Officer Danvers, Crestwood PD. Come out with your hands up. Lena clutched Jasmine tighter. They're lying, she whispered. They have to be lying. Marcus hesitated, then pulled out his phone and dialed 911. The operator answered instantly. I have intruders in my home claiming to be police, he hissed. Send real Officer Snow. The footsteps grew closer. Then the bedroom door exploded inward. Danvers stood in the doorway, flanked by two other officers in full tactical gear. His smirk was venomous. Marcus Carter, you're under arrest. Marcus didn't move. Show me the warrant. Danvers tossed a folded paper onto the bed. Marcus barely glanced at it. This is fake. You're not here for an arrest. Marcus's finger hovered over the trigger. You're here to scare us. Danvers' smirk faded. I'm here because you threatened an officer tonight. That's a felony. Jasmine's stomach dropped. Liar. Lena stepped forward, her voice shaking with rage. Get out of my house. Danvers ignored her, his eyes locked on Marcus. Last chance. Drop the gun and come quietly. Marcus didn't flinch. Or what? You'll shoot me in front of my family? Danvers' hand drifted toward his holster. If I have to. A siren wailed in the distance. Danvers stiffened. His backup hadn't called for reinforcements. The 911 operator was still on the line. Sir, officers are en route, Danvers cursed, then jerked his head at the other cops. We're leaving. They backed out, but Danvers paused in the doorway, his gaze locking onto Jasmine. This isn't over, he mouthed. Then they were gone, vanishing into the night as quickly as they'd come. The real police arrived minutes later, Sergeant Cole among them. She took one look at the shattered front door, the fake warrant, and swore under her breath. Danvers is off duty, she said. This wasn't sanctioned. Marcus's laugh was hollow. You think that matters? Cole's expression darkened. It will when I'm done with him. She turned to Jasmine. You okay? Jasmine nodded, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Cole exhaled. Pack a bag. You're not staying here tonight. An hour later, they were at Elijah's penthouse downtown, the city lights sprawling below them. Elijah poured Marcus a whiskey, his face grim. They're escalating, he said. Marcus downed the drink in one gulp. No shit. Elijah pulled out his laptop. Then we escalate faster. He typed furiously, then spun the screen toward them. A video played security footage from a gas station. It showed Danvers, out of uniform, handing an envelope to a man in a leather jacket. Jasmine frowned. Who's that? Elijah's smile was razor thin. Ryan Vales. Local gang enforcer. And Danvers's real boss. Marcus's eyes widened. He's dirty. Worse. Elijah tapped a key, pulling up a file. Danvers has been on Vallis's payroll for years. Protection. Drug cover-ups. Even a few disappearances. Lena covered her mouth. Oh my God. Elijah leaned forward. This isn't just about Jasmine anymore. Danvers isn't just a racist, Coffey's a criminal. And we're going to bury him. Jasmine's phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Another message, you can't hide forever. She showed it to Elijah. His face hardened. Wrong. He grabbed his keys. Let's go to war. Elijah's black SUV cut through the pre-dawn gloom, the city's neon lights reflecting off the rain-slicked streets. Jasmine sat in the back seat, her fingers clenched around her phone, the ominous message still burning in her mind. You can't hide forever. Marcus rode shotgun, his posture rigid, eyes scanning every shadow they passed. Lena sat beside Jasmine, gripping her hand like a lifeline. Where are we going? Jasmine asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Elijah adjusted the rearview mirror, his gaze flicking to hers. Somewhere safe. Somewhere Danvers and his friends can't touch you. The SUV turned into an underground parking garage beneath a nondescript high-rise. Elijah parked near a private elevator, then handed Marcus a keycard. Top floor. Apartments under a shell corporation. Untraceable. Marcus nodded. You coming up? Elijah shook his head. I've got work to do. He pulled a sleek black phone from his coat and handed it to Jasmine. Burner. No tracking. My number's already in it. Use it only for emergencies. Jasmine took it, the weight unfamiliar in her palm. What kind of work? Elijah's smile was all teeth. The kind that ends careers. The safe house was luxurious, sparse, but modern. With floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, Lena immediately checked the locks while Marcus inspected the security system. Jasmine sank onto the couch, exhaustion crashing over her. The adrenaline from the night's events had left her drained, but sleep felt impossible. Her phone buzzed the burner. A text from Elijah. Check the bedside drawer. Frowning, she headed to the master bedroom. Inside the drawer was a small silver thumb drive and a note. Play this when you're alone. Her pulse quickened. She plugged the drive into the room's laptop. A single video file appeared. Clicking it, she was met with grainy surveillance footage, Danvers, in uniform, meeting with the same leather-jacketed man from the gas station. Ryan Vales. Their voices were low but clear. Vales. You screwed up. That Carter girl's got connections. Danvers. I'll handle it. Vales. Number? You're done handling things. The boss wants her disappeared. Permanently. Jasmine's blood turned to ice. The footage cut to a new scene, Danvers handing Vales a thick envelope. Danvers. Tell him it's done by sunrise. The video ended. Jasmine's hands shook. They weren't just trying to scare her. They were trying to kill her. The bedroom door creaked open. Marcus stood there, his face darkening as he saw the screen. Jasmine. She spun toward him. They want me dead, Dad. Marcus crossed the room in 2 strides, crushing her to his chest. Not happening, he growled. I swear to God, not happening. Lena appeared in the doorway, her eyes widening at the screen. What is that? Marcus didn't let go of Jasmine. Proof Danvers working with a gang. Proof he's been paid to hurt our daughter. Lena's face went pale. We have to call Elijah, now. Marcus grabbed the burner phone and dialed. Elijah answered on the first ring. You saw it. We saw it, Marcus snarled. What the hell are we dealing with? Elijah's voice was grim. Bigger than Danvers. Vales is enforcer for the Delgado cartel. They own half the cops in this city. Jasmine's stomach lurched. A cartel? Marcus cursed. So what's the play? I'm sending you coordinates, Elijah said. Meet me there in 2 hours. Bring the drive. The line went dead. Marcus pocketed the phone, then turned to Lena. Pack a go bag. Essentials only. Lena nodded and hurried out. Jasmine grabbed his arm. Dad, what's going on? Marcus cupped her face, his calloused hands warm against her skin. We're ending this. Tonight. The coordinates led to a derelict warehouse on the city's outskirts. Elijah stood near a parked sedan, a duffel bag at his feet. As they approached, he tossed Marcus a key. Car's clean, untraceable. Marcus caught it. Where are we going? Elijah hefted the duffel. First, we pay Danvers a visit. Jasmine's breath hitched. What? Elijah unzipped. The bag inside were 2 handguns, a stack of files, and a sleek digital recorder. He's not at the station, Elijah said. He's holed up in a motel on 8th, waiting for orders from Vales. He met Jasmine's eyes. We're going to make him talk. Marcus took a gun, checking the clip. And if he doesn't? Elijah's smile was ice. Then we hand him to the cartel. Betrayal's a death sentence in their world. Jasmine's stomach twisted. This wasn't just about justice anymore. This was revenge. Elijah handed her the recorder. Stay in the car. Keep this running, no matter what. She swallowed hard. Okay. Marcus kissed her forehead. It'll be over soon. The lie hung heavy in the air as they climbed into the sedan. Somewhere in the city, Danvers was waiting. And so was death. The motel was a dingy, neon-lit relic from another era, its flickering vacancy sign casting eerie shadows across the cracked parking lot. Elijah killed the engine 2 blocks away, the sedan rolling to a silent stop beneath the skeletal branches of a dead oak. Jasmine clutched the digital recorder, her knuckles white. The weight of what they were about to do pressed down on her like a physical force. Marcus turned in the passenger seat, his eyes hard. Remember, stay here. No matter what you hear, stay put. Jasmine nodded, though every instinct screamed at her to run. Elijah checked his gun, then tucked it into his waistband. If we're not back in 30 minutes, drive to the safe house and call the number labeled cleaner in the burner. Jasmine's throat tightened. What's a cleaner? Elijah didn't answer. He just stepped out into the night, Marcus following like a shadow. The 2 men vanished into the darkness, leaving Jasmine alone with the hum of the engine and the pounding of her own heart. Danvers's room was on the 2nd floor, the curtains drawn tight. Elijah moved like a ghost up the rusted staircase, Marcus close behind. At the door, Elijah paused, listening, muffled voices, Danvers and someone else. Elijah glanced at Marcus, held up 3 fingers, then kicked the door in. The room was a haze of cigarette smoke and cheap whiskey. Danvers spun from where he'd been leaning over a map on the bed, his hand flying to his holster, but Elijah already had his gun trained on him. Don't, Elijah warned. The other man, a wiry guy with a snake tattoo coiled around his neck, reached for a knife. Marcus slammed the butt of his pistol into the guy's temple, dropping him like a sack of bricks. Danvers's face twisted. You're dead, Carter. Marcus stepped forward. Where's Vales? Danvers spat at his feet. Go to hell. Elijah sighed, then holstered his gun. Wrong answer. He moved faster than Danvers could react, a brutal knee to the gut, followed by an elbow to the spine that sent the cop crashing to his knees. Elijah grabbed a fistful of Danvers's hair, yanking his head back. Let's try again, Elijah purred. Where's Vales? Danvers gasped, blood trickling from his split lip. You think this scares me? I've got friends. Not anymore. Elijah pulled out his phone, swiped to a video, and shoved it in Danvers's face. The footage showed Ryan Vales in a dimly lit room, speaking to a shadowed figure. Vales. Danvers is a liability. After the Carter job, put him down. Danvers' eyes widened. Elijah smiled. Guess who just became expendable? Jasmine jumped as the sedan's door suddenly wrenched open. Marcus slid into the passenger seat, his knuckles bruised. Drive. Now. Jasmine fumbled with the keys, the engine roaring to life. Where's Elijah? Finishing up, a gunshot echoed in the distance. Jasmine flinched. Was that? Marcus's jaw tightened. Drive. She peeled away from the curb, tires screeching. In the rearview mirror, Elijah emerged from the motel, wiping his hands on a rag before vanishing into an alley. Her hands trembled on the wheel. What happened in there? Marcus didn't answer at first, then quietly, Danvers talked. And? Vales is at the old shipyard. Midnight meeting with the cartel. Marcus pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. Elijah's calling in favors. We end this tonight. Jasmine's stomach churned. What does end this mean? Marcus finally looked at her, his eyes haunted. It means no loose ends. The shipyard was a graveyard of rusted hulls and rotting docks, the stench of salt and decay thick in the air. Elijah met them at the chain-link fence, his clothes now black tactical gear. He handed Marcus a vest. Vales is here. So's Delgado. Jasmine froze. The cartel boss himself? Marcus strapped the vest on. Plan? We hit hard, fast, and messy. Elijah tossed Jasmine a small earpiece. You're on lookout. See anything? You say the word storm. Then run. She swallowed. What if? No what ifs. Elijah squeezed her shoulder. Stay sharp. They moved like shadows through the yard, weaving between shipping containers. Voices echoed ahead. Vale's nasal snarl, and a deeper, accented tone. Delgado. Elijah gestured hold. Jasmine crouched behind a crate, her heart hammering. Through a gap, she could see them. Vales, Delgado, a bear of a man in a tailored suit, and a dozen armed guards. Delgado. The girl dies tonight. No witnesses. Vales. Danvers? Delgado chuckled. Already handled. Jasmine's blood ran cold. Elijah didn't wait. He stepped into the open, gun raised. Evening, gentlemen. Chaos erupted. Gunfire. Shouting. Jasmine ducked as bullets pinged off metal. Marcus dragged her behind cover. His own weapon barking returned fire. Thena's hand clamped over her mouth. Hello, Jasmine. Danvers's breath was rancid against her ear. His grip iron. Blood soaked his shirt. One eye swollen shut, but he was alive. And he had a knife to her throat. The cold press of Danvers' blade against Jasmine's throat sent a primal terror through her veins. She could smell the blood and sweat on him, hear the ragged fury in his breathing. You ruined everything, he hissed, dragging her backward behind a stack of rusted shipping containers. Gunfire still rang out near the docks. Marcus and Elijah were pinned down, unaware she'd been taken. Jasmine's mind raced. The earpiece, if she could trigger it. Danvers ripped it from her ear and crushed it under his boot. Try that again, and I'll carve out your tongue before I slit your throat. He forced her toward a derelict forklift, its engine long dead. Tossing her against the metal frame, he kept the knife steady, while pulling out his phone with his free hand. Vales, he barked into the phone. I've got the girl. Extraction point, Delta No. Jasmine's pulse roared. If Vales came for her, she was dead. No witnesses, Delgado had said. She had one shot. Danvers' grip on the knife loosened just enough as he shoved the phone back in his pocket. Jasmine seized the moment. She drove her elbow into his ribs, then stomped down hard on his instep. Danvers howled, the knife grazing her collarbone as she twisted free. She didn't stop to check the cut. She ran, weaving between containers, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Behind her, Danvers snarled, You bitch! A gunshot cracked. Jasmine ducked instinctively, but the bullet wasn't aimed at her. It hit Danvers square in the shoulder, spinning him around. Marcus stood 20 yards away, gun smoking, his face a mask of lethal calm. Danvers clutched his bleeding shoulder, laughing through the pain. Too late, Carter. They're already coming for her. Marcus didn't hesitate. He fired again. Danvers dropped like a stone. Jasmine didn't have time to process it. Marcus grabbed her arm, yanking her toward the cover of a cargo crane. Elijah's pinned down near the docks. We need to move. Danvers said Vales is coming. I know. Marcus's voice was grim. That's why we're not running. Elijah was cornered behind a stack of oil barrels, his left sleeve dark with blood. Across the dock, Delgado's men advanced, their rifles trained. Marcus pressed Jasmine into the shadows behind the crane's control booth. Stay here, no matter what. Before she could protest, he was gone, melting into the darkness. A second later, chaos erupted. Marcus's gunfire drew the cartel's attention, giving Elijah the opening he needed. He lunged from cover, shooting 2 men in quick succession. Delgado bellowed in rage, retreating toward a black SUV. Vales wasn't with him. Where was he? Jasmine's answer came in the screech of tires. A van skidded to a halt near the forklift where Danvers had dragged her. Vales leaped out, flanked by 3 armed thugs. Find her! Jasmine pressed deeper into the shadows, but the control booth's metal door creaked under her weight. Vales's head snapped toward the sound. Their eyes locked. His grin was venomous. There you are. Jasmine bolted. She sprinted toward the water's edge, where a maze of fishing nets and crates offered meager cover. Bullets kicked up splinters of wood around her. Vales's men weren't aiming to kill. Delgado wanted her alive. Why? A hand snagged her wrist, yanking her behind a netting rack. Elijah. Change of plans, he hissed, pressing a pistol into her hand. Ever shot a gun before? Jasmine shook her head. Point and pull the trigger, That's all you need to know. Vales's voice cut through the night. Come out, little bird. We just want to talk. Elijah's smile was razor thin. Time to make them regret that. What happened next was a blur. Elijah moved like a specter, picking off Vales's men one by one. Jasmine stayed low, the weight of the gun foreign in her hands, but when a thug lunged at her, she didn't hesitate. She fired. The recoil jarred her arm, but the man went down. Vales screamed in fury, emptying his clip blindly. A bullet grazed Elijah's thigh, but he didn't falter. He returned fire, and Vales dropped, clutching his stomach. Silence. Then, from the SUV, Delgado's roar. Fall back. The remaining cartel men scrambled for the vehicles. Elijah didn't pursue, he just grabbed Jasmine's arm. Marcus, now! Marcus emerged from the shadows, bloodied but alive. The three of them ran for the sedan, the shipyard exploding into flames behind them. Elijah must have planted charges. As they peeled away, Jasmine finally spoke, her voice raw. Danvers said, they wanted me alive. Why? Elijah and Marcus exchanged a look. Then Elijah pulled out his phone, swiping to a photo document stamped confidential. Because of this. It was a list. Names. Dates. And beside each one, a badge number. Jasmine's breath caught. This is every cop on Delgado's payroll, Elijah said quietly. Danvers wasn't the only dirty one. And they think you have the original. Marcus's knuckles whitened on the wheel. Do we? Elijah's smile was dark. We do now. The safe house was bathed in the blue glow of Elijah's laptop as he scrolled through the stolen files. Jasmine sat across from him, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea she hadn't touched. The names on the screen made her stomach churn. Officers, detectives, even a deputy chief, all bought and paid for by the Delgado cartel. Marcus leaned over Elijah's shoulder, his voice a low growl. This is enough to bring down half the department. Elijah nodded. And the other half will fight to bury it. He tapped a key, pulling up a video file security footage from the shipyard. It showed Delgado handing an envelope to a man in a crisp suit. Jasmine frowned. Who's that? Mayor-elect Richard Shaw. Elijah's smile was razor thin. Turns out the corruption goes all the way up. Lena, who'd been pacing by the window, finally spoke. So what do we do with this? Take it to the press? Number. Elijah closed the laptop. We take it higher. Federal higher. Marcus stiffened. You're talking about the FBI. I'm talking about the only people with the firepower to clean this mess up. Elijah pulled out his phone. I've got to contact Agent Ruiz. She's been after Delgado for years. Jasmine's fingers tightened around the mug. And what happens to us in the meantime? Delgado knows we have this. He'll send everyone after us. Elijah met her gaze. Then we disappear. Just until the feds move in. Marcus exhaled sharply. Where? Somewhere not even Elijah Graves can find you. The voice came from the doorway. A woman stood there mid-40s, sharp-eyed, her dark hair pulled into a no-nonsense bun. She held up a badge. Agent Maria Ruiz, FBI. The plan was set in motion before dawn. Agent Ruiz had brought a team quiet, efficient men and women who swept the safe house for bugs, then bundled Jasmine and her parents into separate unmarked cars. It's protocol, Ruiz explained as Jasmine tensed. No single vehicle can be compromised. You'll rendezvous at the safe location. Jasmine didn't like it, but she didn't argue. Her car was a nondescript sedan, driven by a young agent with a buzz cut. He didn't speak, just nodded as she buckled in. The drive should have taken 20 minutes. At minute 15, the agent's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then stiffened. Jasmine caught his eye in the rearview mirror. Everything okay? The agent didn't answer. Instead, he made a sharp turn away from the planned route. Jasmine's pulse spiked. Hey, where are we going? The agent remained silent, his grip tightening on the wheel. She reached for her phone burner Elijah had given her. The agent saw the movement. Don't. His free hand went to his hip, to his gun. Jasmine's blood turned to ice. He wasn't FBI. Marcus knew something was wrong the moment his car stopped at a deserted gas station. His agent turned, smiling apologetically. Sorry about this, Mr. Carter. Then the window exploded. Marcus ducked as gunfire riddled the car. He lunged for the door, rolling onto the pavement as the agent's head snapped back, a bullet between the eyes. Elijah stood across the lot, gun raised, his face a mask of fury. "They're compromised! All the teams!" Marcus scrambled to his feet. "Jasmine, go!" Elijah tossed him keys. "Now!" Marcus didn't hesitate. He leaped into the nearest car and sped toward Jasmine's last known coordinates. Jasmine's captor drove like a man possessed, weaving through back streets. She'd tried the door lock. The divider between the seats was bulletproof. Then the car jerked violently. A black SUV had rammed them from the side, forcing them onto the shoulder. Jasmine's head slammed into the window as they spun to a stop. Dazed, she looked up and saw Danvers climbing out of the SUV. He was alive. Blood soaked his shirt where Marcus had shot him, but he moved with single-minded purpose, yanking open her door. "Miss me?" he sneered. Jasmine kicked at him, but he backhanded her, the blow splitting her lip. "Delgado wants you alive," he hissed, dragging her out. But he didn't say how alive. A gun cocked behind them. "Put her down, Danvers." Marcus stood 10 feet away, his weapon trained on Danvers' head. Danvers laughed, pressing his own gun to Jasmine's temple. "You shoot, she dies." Marcus didn't flinch. "Then we'll both watch you bleed out. A standoff." Then, "Actually," a new voice drawled, "how about nobody dies?" Ryan Vales stepped from the shadows, his shirt stained with blood from his shipyard wound. A dozen armed men flanked him, and they had Marcus surrounded. Vales grinned. "Delgado's gonna love this reunion." The abandoned warehouse reeked of mildew and motor oil. Jasmine's wrists burned from the zip ties cutting into her skin as Delgado's men shoved her onto a rusted metal chair. Across from her, Marcus knelt on the concrete floor, a gun pressed to his temple. Danvers leaned against a stack of crates, grinning as he dabbed at his bloody shoulder. "Should have taken the deal when you had the chance, Carter." Vales limped forward, his face pale from his untreated gunshot wound. "Where's the list?" he demanded, grabbing Jasmine's chin. She spat in his face. Vales' backhanded Herthan froze as the warehouse doors burst open. Elijah stood silhouetted in the sunlight, his hands raised. "Looking for this?" He held up a flash drive. Delgado stepped from the shadows, his gold rings glinting as he gestured. 2 men seized Elijah, dragging him inside. The doors slammed shut behind him. "Elijah Graves," Delgado mused. "I should have known you were behind this." Elijah smirked, flattered. Delgado snatched the flash drive, plugging it into a laptop on a nearby table. The screen remained blank. "It's encrypted," Elijah said. "Passwords in my head. Harm any of us, and you'll never get it." Delgado's smile turned icy. "There are other ways to make you talk." He nodded to Vales. Vales pulled a knife, pressing it to Marcus's throat. Last chance. Jasmine's heart pounded until she noticed Elijah's gaze flick to the ceiling. A blink, a signal. Then, boom. The skylight shattered as flashbang grenades dropped into the room. Deafening explosions rocked the warehouse as armed SWAT agents rappelled down, shouting, "FBI! Everyone down!" Chaos erupted. Delgado's men scrambled for weapons, but the feds were faster. Gunfire echoed as Agent Ruiz stormed in, her team neutralizing threats with brutal efficiency. Danvers lunged for a fallen gun. "Freeze!" Ruiz had him dead to rights. Danvers hesitated, then raised his hands with a snarl. Vales wasn't so smart. He grabbed Jasmine as a human shield, his knife at her throat. "Back off or she dies." Marcus moved like lightning. He tackled Vales, driving him to the ground. The knife skittered away as they grappled until Marcus slammed Vales's head into the concrete. Once, twice. Vales went limp. Delgado bolted for a back exit only to run straight into Elijah's fist. The cartel boss crumpled, his nose shattered. "That's for my niece," Elijah growled. 3 months later, the headlines were relentless. Mayor-elect Shaw arrested in FBI sting Crestwood. PD disbanded after corruption scandal. Delgado cartel boss sentenced to life. Jasmine sat on the courthouse steps, flipping through the articles on her phone. Danvers, Vales, and dozens of others were going away for a long time thanks to the evidence Elijah had actually mailed to the FBI before walking into that warehouse. Marcus squeezed her shoulder. "You okay?" She nodded. "Just thinking about how close we came." Lena kissed her temple. "But we made it." Elijah strolled over, tossing Jasmine a set of keys. "Speaking of making it, got you something." Parked at the curb was a sleek used Honda, its dark blue paint gleaming. Jasmine's eyes widened. Seriously? Consider it a sorry for almost getting you killed gift, Elijah said, grinning. Marcus snorted. She's still not driving alone after dark. Jasmine rolled her eyes but hugged Elijah tight. Thank you. As they drove home, the sunset painting the sky in gold and crimson, Jasmine finally felt the weight lift. The fear, the run in it was over. Danvers was in prison. Delgado was gone. And she? She was free,